6 polar adventurers who never made it back home. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Massive Phenomenon. 6. Vladimir Ruzanov. Vladimir Ruzanov was a Russian explorer who began his career leading expeditions back in 1909. On this expedition, he headed out to Novaya Zemlya, and it seems that his expedition was a success because the Russian government assigned him another expedition in 1912 to head to the South Pole. Vladimir set sail from what's now Polyarny in Russia on June 26, 1912, to start his expedition. At first, things seemed to go well. The crew had a successful summer of fieldwork and sent 3 of their team members back to Russia to report their findings. The other 10 members of the party, however, set sail again, this time for the Pacific Ocean. This second expedition didn't go as planned, and after their departure, they were never seen again. The last to be heard of them was when they sent a telegram in 1912 outlining their plans, but after that, the crew was lost for all time. 5. Hugh Willoughby. Hugh Willoughby was an intrepid Englishman and member of the British Royal Navy way back in the 16th century. In 1553, Willoughby set off on a naval expedition at the command of a man named Sebastian Cabot. As with many other English-led expeditions, the goal of this adventure was to find the Northeast Passage through the Arctic. As part of his expedition, Willoughby was given 3 ships, which were to help him find this fabled passage. However, in August 1553, a nasty storm hit, and the fleet of ships became separated from one another. One of the ships managed to make it to the White Sea, but the other ships and their crews were lost, never to be seen or heard from again. 4. George W. De Long. George Washington De Long was an American explorer born in none other than New York City, New York. Although he would lead many expeditions, his most ill-fated was certainly one he launched in 1881 to the Arctic. What makes this expedition different from the others on this list is that it was led by the U.S. Navy. De Long was determined to reach the North Pole. He set sail in 1879 from San Francisco on the USS Jeannette, heading through the Bering Strait and up near northern Siberia. While sailing these waters, however, De Long became trapped in pack ice. Although De Long and his crew managed to make it off the boat with their provisions and several lifeboats, this would not prove to be enough. Their destination was more than 600 miles, 965 kilometers, away. Although they tried to sail their way further north, the lifeboats became separated and were lost. De Long is said to have died of exposure and starvation, while several of his other men were lost at sea, never to be seen again. 3. Georgy Brusilov. Georgy Brusilov was a Russian explorer who set off in 1912 to chart a map between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The idea was to create a route called the Northern Sea Route. Sadly, however, the boat became trapped in ice pretty quickly, and the crew was forced to spend the winter waiting for the ice to thaw. By the time summer rolled around, however, the boat was still stuck, and Georgy had become quite sick. In an attempt to save their captain, several crew members ditched the ship and tried to make their way back home by walking south over drifting ice. This plan didn't go as expected, however, and Georgy, along with many other crew members, went missing somewhere along the way. Although Georgy, his ship, and his crew were never found, years later, in 2010, explorers managed to find a few crew members' belongings. Included in these belongings was a logbook, which detailed just what had happened to the ill-fated crew. 2. Belgrave Edward Ninnis. Unlike many of the other explorers who have made the cut on this list, Belgrave Edward Ninnis wasn't an expedition leader. Instead, he was just an expedition member on the Australasian Antarctic Expedition. The expedition was launched in 1911 from Australia, with the goal of exploring the Antarctic coast, which lies just to the south of the island nation. The expedition was largely a success and lasted a total of 3 years. During the expedition, explorers put up communication systems between Australia and Antarctica. However, there was one hiccup that marred the success of the expedition: the disappearance of Belgrave Edward Ninnis. During the crew's exploration of Antarctica, poor Edward fell into an ice crevice and plummeted into the abyss. Despite rescue attempts to get him back out, he was never seen again. 1. S. A. Andre. While most Arctic expeditions are led by boat, one particular explorer named S. Andre decided to think outside the box and attempt to explore the North Pole by a different mode of transportation, a hot air balloon. Now, as you can probably imagine, this was a terrible idea. The whole expedition got off to a rough start when the polar balloon arrived in Sweden, where S. Andre and his crew were set to take off, untested. On top of that, the balloon was shown to be leaking. None of that stopped Andre, however. So, in 1897, he and his two co-pilots set out from Svalbard to explore the Arctic. Just 2 days later, however, the balloon lost hydrogen and crashed into the ice pack below. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen, because I'm sure you'll love them.